we've supported you that I feel has not been as good as it should have been. So so in that sense, I'd like to start off with an apology that we could have done it better and helped you more. And I would actually like to really get your feedback on how has it been for you. Maybe I'm misjudging. Maybe you say, hey, it's all been happy, shiny. It's been super easy. Wow, loved it. That's okay too. But I also feel that probably you have some issues. So the way I would like to start off is that that each of you sort of says, out of the project, what has gone well, what has really delivered value, and what is some feedback on how we can improve it, both content-wise, but also process-wise, right? So as I mentioned, this was the first that we that we worked with a group of co-pilots who had not been as committed into the process. So I would really like to hear, just not for too long, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes each, some feedback from you. What has really created value out of the project, and what hasn't, and what feedback do you have for us to make it better? Because we'll make sure this will go into Hub Global and actually will then be something that that improves future projects that will happen in this way. I would like to suggest that we take the same order as we did before. So we start with Vish again, Dario, then we go through Stockholm. We'll take Olena and Jesper together, Carolina, and then hopefully we'll get Ralph back at some point. Is that okay? Go, I see Vish.
Okay, ready. My check-in around global membership is that I really appreciate all the resources that you've made available to us in terms of the master spreadsheet and the entire folder. I think it really is this treasure box with everything someone would need in it. So for that, I'm grateful. And I think that has been a good point to get started. Another thing that has worked well are these regular calls as a group, or you being available enough to have individual calls or meetings. For example, at this dark region meeting, again, there were these smaller conversations. At the gathering, there were conversations. So I think you've been communicative and resourceful. In terms of implementation in Berlin, to be honest, I don't know where we stand. And that's my biggest request is, I mentioned this on a call earlier, is it would have been awesome for me to have a checklist, almost sort of as a game where I can say, okay, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this, and this is where I stand, and these are 2 steps still missing. Or like my score right now is 8 out of 10, and that's good enough. So for me to know what is the complete, extensive implementation, but also what is a minimum viable co-pilot experience. If you say, hey, you've announced it at this meeting, you've done all of these, it's good enough. Sure, you can update the graphics later. But for me, in the list, I don't have a way to differentiate what's the most important and what's a good to have. So I think, yeah, I think the support is there. And also I've heard there was more sort of individual follow-ups with the pilots compared to the co-pilots, which I understand from a scaling perspective, it's difficult to have that one-on-one time. But all that I need right now is an understanding of where I stand. Is that good enough? And what can I do next? Am I doing everything or not? And the only other thing which has been slightly challenging from leading it locally is the synergies needed on the team. Because I've needed a lot of people to buy in and say, hey, could you please fix this invoice? And could you please do this on the website? Which is asking a lot of your team, especially within short timelines. Because, you know, with this 2-week idea, I think there was a little bit of stress on the team. And that was also partly because I did everything I could, and then I allocated the different things, and I was traveling for some time. Maybe had I been here, I would have, you know, managed it better and followed up on people. But yeah, so in summary, great to have all of those things, but maybe just a little gamified checklist could add value.
Thank you, Vish. Dario, you want to continue?
Yeah, my feedback would probably sound very similar to Vishal's one. We are chronically understaffed, and so in a way I think we also need to know where we're standing and if what we're doing is actually enough for the moment. It's true that the global membership, let's say to make it, to fine-tune it or to perfection the way we're communicating it or the way it is showing on our website, we simply didn't have time or capacity to do that. We are talking about it. Every new onboarded member gets an introduction of how they can use the passport and how they have to go about if they want to visit another impact hub, and we talk to them about the project. But at the same time, we haven't graphically updated our website so much yet. So this is yet to come, but this has a lot to do, I would say, not so much, or actually not at all, with the help you are providing us, or it doesn't have anything to do with your side, and it has everything to do with the fact that that we're understaffed, that our whole website is at the moment being revamped. There are several people working on that, but a lot of the times these are collaborators that do this on a voluntary basis, so it's a lot of juggling of different people working on that website at different times. So for us, I don't feel at all that we're missing anything from your side. It's more that we're missing time and capacities, and that sometimes the priorities were in other places where we had opportunities to make partnerships with associations and companies, and then that kind of was more important at that very moment than to flesh out the appearance of the global membership on our website. So yeah.
Okay, and content-wise, is there something that was not good? Maybe also for Vishal, like, would you say it's mainly the narrative? We know the narrative is not good, or is it the events, or was there something that was not good?
You mean you're talking to me now, and Vishal?
Actually, I'm talking to the whole group, but maybe if Vishal and Dario can come back to you later, but also Olena, Jesper, you guys are next from Stockholm to hear your feedback. Also maybe go to the content. Where was the quality not up to that so that you could use it? So next to the process part of it. I don't know, Jesper, Olena, who would like to do the talking? Olena.
Yeah, I think Jesper is still on his way. Yeah, so I can do the update. Well, I agree that all the information, so the structured information in the toolbox was really useful. I think you've done a good job with that. So for us, the problem was quite similar to what the other guys were explaining. So the limited time for people working on a volunteering basis in our team. But for us, it was not so much about the visual communication. We have done the job on the website, and so we printed out materials for the inside of the hub, and so we sent the newsletter with all the links, and we wrote the blog, and we've done all the online communication about the updated membership. But the difficult thing was more to sort of explain this transformation for the people in the team. So to have everybody on board. So particularly, for instance, we were pretty limited in the time for the mashup event. So we were sort of struggling for a while, should we have it or not? But then eventually, yeah, I'm really happy that we had the mashup and it went great. So then the question for me still is about collecting feedback. So like we didn't really have time to do that. And so now the question is, so what do we have to do before we proceed to phase 2? Since phase 2 is going to be like at the beginning of 2016, right? So like how do we have to collect information to proceed to having more like viable model for this that would involve financial aspects and stuff like that.
Okay, thanks. Jesper, anything to add?
Yeah, I can add two things, and that is from the back end. I think because we are all understaffed and we had a lot of volunteers, I think to do this right on a global scale, I think it's much smarter if we create. And I think this must be able to do this, on the back end, create the websites, the graphics, so it's just with the press of a button we can upload it. I don't know how it works, but it must surely be able to do that. The same thing with invoicing. If you're going to roll this out, and we have 30 hubs using Nexodus, this needs to be coordinated with them, so we don't have to sit for hours and try to figure out how to do this. But it's one person figuring it out, and then it's on the go, and it's already done, right? Because that's my feedback to this. Next step, if you have 80 hubs going to be on board, I think there must be a smarter way of doing this than everybody locally sitting and doing it manually themselves. That's my feedback. And I have to leave now, actually, because I have another meeting. So I leave this for Elena to finish. And I wish you all good luck. And I'm looking forward to next year. I think it's going to be great. And thank you for your work.
Cool. Thanks. Carolina, you want to go next?
Yep. Yeah. Actually, I have the kind of same feedback than Darian Wishdal already mentioned. I like the folders and all the materials you prepared and the calls, and if someone needed help, some of you replied, so it was nice communication you did and nice content you prepared. To the content, maybe one thing which was a bit difficult. I think sometimes it was too detailed. Like Wishdal said, this crazy Excel sheet with all these points, and then I don't know, this for example, the process of the onboarding and the first 2 minutes you have to welcome the person. It's super detailed. I just read through it, and I was like, okay, we're already doing this in the onboarding, so I can kind of skip that. I was like, okay, but it was like this crazy lots of documents for every process or every little step. So I think maybe that was a bit too much for the beginning. So it would have been nice to have a checklist or something like these are the 10 main points. And I think there was something like this is the summary or kind of the most important things about the global membership. So I really like this document. I'm not sure which it was, but there was something in it. And then you can check, and then you can have a look on the Excel sheet, which the points you really have to look at. You don't have to go through the list thousands of points. That was the detail thing. The checklist. And the resources in the team, because I'm studying as well, so I'm not there full time. So right now we had this crystal party, and we had this big fellowship to come, and in the end, Oliana, they decided to do the mashup, and would have been great if we decided that as well, but we didn't. So we did not have the mashup event because it was just fully booked, and the calendar was crazy full. So that was a bit the sad part.
Okay.
But apart from that, I really like the materials you prepared and the calls, and I think that was kind of nice.
Okay, thank you. So Ralph, let's see again if audio works now and speaking. So maybe you could also do a quick check-in, like how has it been going in Kuala Lumpur? What has added value for you? Maybe not just for your hub, but also for your members. And do you have any feedback to us?
Okay. Hi everyone. Sorry, I had a few technical difficulties in the beginning, but here in KL we're super good. Although we're working, we got very limited resources at the moment. So I had a couple of team members who left. So I've been busy trying to cover up a lot of the stuff. And I think for us here, it's mostly the resources. But we have actually managed to communicate with our community in terms of the new membership experience. And I think we wanted to do it in a more bearing in mind the limited resources that we had, we actually started mostly on the passport and the communication, the product narrative, which I think going back to the checklist that you sent us, the whole Excel, I think because for us it's our first year, and so some of these processes we didn't have before, so they've actually helped us in some of the day-to-day running of our hub, but we've managed to communicate in terms of on our website and through our we now have a bi-weekly newsletter where we actually communicate some of the new features of the Hub 2.0. And for the members that we already had, we just used direct email because we don't have plenty members at the moment. So we actually just communicated with them direct emails, and we invited them over to the Hub to explain the new membership experience. And when it comes to the website, we've actually started work on the website because I had somebody who was doing it on a voluntary basis and the person has left. So I'm still learning around the whole website aspect, but we have featured the passport and we're working on our membership. So we have redefined the whole membership so that we have Impact Hub membership on its own, our co-working package, and we have new other features as well that we have added on. So that is mostly some stuff that we're going to start doing beginning of next year, I guess, because we've got a couple of new resources coming in beginning of the next year. So I think it'll be much easier to get all these done rather than rely on one other person, my other teammate, to get this done. And I think in terms of the offline, the events, we couldn't do the mashup this time around because it was clashing with some of the events that we had already planned. But for next year, we are looking forward to joining in on the mashup as well, because we've already come up with a list of events which will be for our community, and as well as the ones that we need to include, like mashup and talk about your business. So I think we can be more aligned with the rest of the events with everybody else next year.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the check-in. Well, Madalina, welcome. You're in a very dark space because you just see your face, but maybe you also do a quick check-in. What is the project going in Bucharest?
Yes, I'm sorry for the dark space, but this is the Skype booth from Impact Hub. I will implement this feedback with a new light. In Bucharest, it was good. I really loved so the check-in first. We did a part of the things. We did the mashup event. It was also a struggle because it was short time and we had a calendar full of events in that period, but we did it anyway. On the web, we communicated to our members, and we have some, I think, 3 members that used it. I mean, they were in other hubs, and they announced, I'm from Bucharest, I'm using the Copilot stuff. What we did not do was the part with putting all the information on the website with the tariffs and the new form, because we have we did some changes, and it was too confusing to do all these changes in that short time. It was just not the moment, but we can do this starting January. And as feedback for the materials, I loved the Excel. I like Excels. It was very useful, but it was a lot to read. I actually went through all of it, and it was okay. If I want to go with this to my team, I have to go like this. You only have to read this. You only have to read this. You only have to read this in order to implement, because the amount was too scary for them. But I think it's useful to have detailed information, because this is how we can be aligned at the global level, and to be sure that everybody understands the same and we have the same standards in implementing events and different things related to the members' experience. Because maybe in old hubs we already do all of that and we know it by heart, but in new hubs can be useful to have okay, how to do the check-in and small details like this.
Okay, thanks for the feedback. Did this trigger any other thoughts? Does somebody else want to add something that they forgot in their individual statements? Then we can do that now before we move on. Fish, go ahead.
Just two things that came to mind. One is, maybe now when I listen to everyone, it could be interesting to have an option at the beginning of an individual approach. Hey, what's your learning style? Would you like all the information and then you're happy to make sense of it? Or I need someone to simplify and like take me by the hand, show me each step at a time and have follow-ups with me. So maybe adapt implementation to learning styles. And other one is what Martin also mentioned, is show the success of the project. So there was a newsletter saying there is Andre from Bucharest who's currently in Berlin, and there was a day when we had 4 different visitors from Singapore and Boulder. A lot of these hubs were all together in the same place, and we took a picture of it and shared it. But there are these websites like Book Depository where you can see people shopping live. There's this guy buying this book in Switzerland and someone else in Australia. So how do we visualize these movements? And I'm not talking about something complex, but even if it's mentioned in the Maker's Digest or a global newsletter, maybe it helps everyone stay motivated and know what's behind all the graphics and the invoices, the bigger impact.
Cool. Thanks, Vish. That's a good point. I, by the way, had to move out of our meeting room. If it gets loud, please wave at me and then I'll mute, okay? So where I am sitting right now. Or say something that I try to speak louder. Cool. Thanks for the input. I love, by the way, Vish, how you took the classroom ritual to a Skype call or to a Zoom call where you raised your finger. I've only seen that in workshops so far, but you just brought it to the next level. Loved it. Anybody else have something, or shall I proceed? No? Proceed.
Yes, can I just say thanks to everyone for that feedback. That is super helpful for us, and it's really nice to just hear that all together and to gather all of your feedback and ideas, because that some of that stuff really hits home. And just thank you for sharing. That's really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go over it together, and we'll put a review in the chat and say sort of what are we going to take forward out of this feedback. So thank you very much appreciated. Good point. Okay, so the second point on the agenda is telling you guys a little bit how the project will continue, and I'm going to share my screen with you. I hope this actually works. I think you can see it, the Global Membership Pilot. This is an update that we gave for the pilots. It's not everything 100% relevant, so I'm not going through all the details. But I think it will still help you get a better sense of where the project is going. This is the outlook. So what happens and what is relevant here is this has been synced with HINERG and the work that is happening on a global level, the 3.0 strategy, where it's going. So there is this global strategic review, this process going on, where the Impact Hub looks like it's going to have sort of 3 different fields that will be active. So one will be around network. So this is practice sharing, the gathering stuff that a lot of Kapitsa is doing. The other thing will be community. So this will be the experience, the membership experience, better tech to support global community, brand building that really matches with our aspiration for a global community. And the third line is going to be business, so business opportunities. So these are sort of the 3 fields that Impact Hub Global strategically will develop in the future. And where our work is featuring in is very much in the experience design, and it has informed a lot tech and brand discussions. So in 2016, there will be a big tech upgrade, and there's just been a workshop in Berlin, which Steph also attended and Matthias attended from the project team. And it has been decided there that the main focus, where most resources will go through globally in terms of tech will be membership experience. So this will be the collaboration platform, the directory, and then passport technology. So something that Jesper mentioned before, that it becomes a lot easier for us to track members visiting, and then finally this member engagement tool CRM that will help us to much better host our members. So I think that's a big step, and without the work of the co-pilots and the pilots, this would not have happened. So I think we can really be proud of ourselves. I think the tech strategy that we have makes a lot more sense. So what will happen is the pilot project, the new membership experience, will go into a next phase. So we will close by the end of January this first part of the pilot, this first part of the pilot, and then from February up until Shadow, to the next global gathering, we will take the learnings. We will improve some of the things that are not done yet. We will gather more data, and then the actual implementation of the other hubs will start after Seattle. So I think that's the new piece of news, that we will not roll everything out now without having the technology part of it. We will use the learnings we've had with the pilots and the co-pilots to then plan the rollout from Seattle onwards. And I think that's a bit of a change. And closing the pilot, I mean, means in a way our vision is the following: so that the pilot and the co-pilot hubs continue to inform global strategy as we have done right now. I think whatever the work we've done, the feedback we've gotten from you guys has really changed the way Impact Hub Global will develop in the future. And the second thing is that we will continue to deliver value locally, right? So Madalena, you mentioned your members start using the passport, the new tariff structure is implemented, we continue to do that. We can only close the pilot if this is assured. And to Visual's point, to that you need to know that you have at least like 80% implemented, right? So that's something that we will be working on. What does this mean for members? So we will continue, even after we close the pilot, to build a sense of belonging to a global community. This means something like the Mashup will continue, Impact Hub Passport will continue those things. And that's the second point: continue to enjoy the benefits of the global passport, the global membership, right? So just to make sure that this continues. So concretely, what this means for December and January, we will have to do the following things to finish the project. We have to improve the pilot narrative, especially the visual part of it, the story. How do we call it? We are doing local workshops with members in all of the pilot hubs, and we're speaking to key people, and this sort of informs the new narrative. Then we are improving the toolbox. I think your feedback has been spot on, that it needs to be simpler, more adapted to the learning style of people. Maybe with a gamified checkbox, we will pick all of these things up. I think it's really important. Then the communication strategy. So we've spoken to Ita and Flora, who are lead of global marketing and communications, and probably from mid-2016 onwards, there will be something like a Maker's Digest for members, so that members will actually get news that is relevant from all hubs around the world, that is interesting for them. We have a couple of examples or stories that we will use beforehand, but this is also something that will come and that I think will really add value locally. And then, yes, we have to find a light structure for us to keep interacting. So this means from February onwards that there will be not pilots and co-pilots anymore, but all of you who want will stay sort of a new community, a smaller group of, we call them drivers. So anyway, we've piloted and co-piloted the plane, then we've landed it, then we got out of the plane, and now we're driving the car to the train station where the next part of our journey is going to be. This will mean maybe a monthly call. The Slack channel will stay open for feedback and questions. Those kind of things will stay there, but it's not becoming as intensive anymore. We'll use the platform to inform global strategy, create value locally, share best practice, coordinate the mashup, and improve the communication. So that's a little bit the outlook that I want to share. Steph, do you have anything to add, or is this sufficient?
No, I mean, I think the only thing I would add is that having been at the tech strategy meeting last week in Berlin, it was really clear that the work that was done on the membership pilot by the pilots and you guys and co-pilots also was super relevant to the tech discussions, and all of the learnings that we've discovered on this pilot are absolutely fed into that process, and it was helpful in confirming that our thoughts and our ideas were absolutely on the right track, and others agreed with that as well.
Oh. Do you guys have any questions with regards to what I just told you? You can just shoot in because I can't see all your fingers. No?
Yeah, actually, sorry, I do. I must have missed one chunk of information someday. I didn't actually get what Seattle's role is. Like, they're going to be the first to do what?
No, the global gathering will be in Seattle next year.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So sorry, yeah, no, that's the next.
I thought like, okay, maybe now it's like them and they're going to start something. And okay, yeah, I get it. Thank you.
All right, cool. Okay, thanks. So the next thing that I would like to discuss is a little bit the mashup and how we will continue there. Steph, you want to give a brief update? Will be the intense discussion we had last Tuesday in the pilot call, and what we suggest as next steps. After we've done that, we'd like to briefly hear from each of you what kind of feedback you have to improve the mashup.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Niels. So I guess the first good news is that we felt that the first mashup was such a good event and such a success that we're definitely going to go ahead and arrange further mashups in 2016. The aim is that we will have one mashup event per quarter. The difficulty is in finding, of course, a date and a topic that works for everyone or works for as many people as possible. So we are within the pilot team trying to come up with the best possible date. Obviously, there's a lot of clashes in terms of public holidays and events that have already been organized, and New Year's parties and all sorts of stuff. So we're working at the moment to try and come up with a date and come up with a topic, and I really, really hope that we get that done this week so that we can let you guys know, because we know how difficult it is in terms of scheduling all of this stuff in with all of the other events that are running or will be running next year. So if you just bear with us, I hope we will have a date and a topic very soon. The idea this next time around is that instead of each hub having their own topics, that we will suggest one global topic. And therefore we hope that the global event will have sort of a bigger impact then, and that the conversation between the impact hubs can be improved if we're all sort of talking about the one topic. So I will post as soon as possible a date and topic once we have it.
Cool. So yeah, let's hear then a bit of feedback or suggestions you guys have for how to improve the next mashup, and then as well for if you have an idea for a topic that might work globally, remember, so it needs to be broad enough as an umbrella topic that we can all fit in our separate subtopics. Let's do that. By the way, in case you wonder why we always do this format that I ask somebody to speak after the other one, I've been on loads of global calls, and calls do not work popcorn style that people just shoot in, because you always have to delay, right? So that's why I moderated a little bit strict. But if you want to pop in, do as Vish said, raise your finger, and we'll make sure that you get the turn, and we'll stay efficient. All right, maybe for this one, let's just stick with the same order. Vish, if you want to go first, Dario, Elena, Christina, Ralph, Madalena, around the mashup completely.
All right, so mashup event went really well. I liked the topic we had. The challenge was to do all the normal execution that anyways has to be done for a local event, but to have the global coordination on top of it. So I think the guy on my team who was managing it had to join the Slack group and look for information and find the Zoom link and the Twitter wall. And so I could, at the end of the day, it worked out as a great event, and the global virtual elements added to it. But maybe it was the first one. We just have to learn how to manage that extra logistics and tech and stress slightly better. But all in all, it was a great event. It was good to have a screen and see the other hubs and say hello and see what's happening. Love the idea of one mashup per quarter. Love the idea of the common date and topic. Ideas, one is, if it is a common topic, and if we're doing this globally, maybe we can even have global content. How amazing would it be if I had 2 local speakers in Berlin and about 3 international speakers from the other hubs, and we just turn it on and it will be streamed. So it'll need some coordination, but I think for me that would add a real global flavor. Otherwise, it's just a parallel event. Why should the date matter if I just want to say hi to different hubs on the camera? Now, so imagine, without flying anyone down, if I can have an amazing global speaker, it's great. And maybe we can even have the same speaker speaking to all the different hubs together. And these could be one of those star speakers. So that's one idea. And in terms of topics, 3 topics come to mind, which could be global enough. One is tech for good, given the idea of impact and technology. That's one. A second one is the future of work. And a third one is the future of collaboration.
Cool. Thank you, Vish. Dario.
Sorry, one last thing.
Oh,
yeah, of course.
I think there was confusion about this 10x20 or 20x20 as a format. So maybe it'll be good to have clarity around that. Because the word Pecha Kucha is being used, I think it's causing a bit of confusion.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Okay. I don't have much to say because we, in the end, could not participate in the global mashup for room booking reasons. But we're happy to participate in future ones. I think it's a great idea, yeah, to bring additional value or to visualize this global community strategy more. So we would be very happy to participate next time around.
Okay. Thanks.
All I can say.
Right. Paulina, you had full house in Stockholm, it seemed.
Yeah, we had 80 people in the house. It was amazing to see such a turn, like so many people turn up. And I think it was mostly because of the topic, because we chose integration and entrepreneurship, and it's a pretty big topic here in Sweden. And I think it's one of interesting things to discuss globally, because everybody is influenced by migrational issues right now. So, well, perhaps it wouldn't be interesting for us to run a second one in a row on this topic, but maybe we could sort of twist it and think what other, like, maybe parallel or sort of touching points are there, so we could focus on them to solve issues of integration in a more detailed way. Yeah, so it was kind of cool to see other hubs live, so in the Zoom channel, but we didn't really, so it was just cool, so we didn't really learn from each other, and in the future it would be good to actually like hear each other's discussions in some way, perhaps not from the beginning, you know, in sort of being globally, so like everybody listening to other hubs, but we should start in some way to perhaps hear or get involved in discussions at other hubs. Then regarding the so the format, we were not really doing the Pecha Kucha style, since for this mashup we were coordinating it together with the Ecumen. And they provided some speakers, so they were doing it in their own pace, and some speakers could be really talking for a long time, so that was yeah, perhaps in the future it would be good to have Pecha Kucha or other more structured formats for presentations. Then yeah, so I agree that there may be like a more structured way to deal with logistics, like with all the links, because before the event it can be really stressing so like to have everything in order. So maybe having everything in one place with all the links, like in one document, that could solve it.
Cool.
Then one other point about integrating the social media. There was one thing that wasn't quite clear to me, the best quote competition. I'm not quite sure what happened with that. So we encouraged attendees to vote for the best quote, but then there was no actual winners. So it's, I don't know what happened with that. Maybe somebody has an answer. It would be interesting to know. I guess that's it.
Steph, do you want to say something about that?
I just wanted to jump in on the best quote competition. I recall that being discussed in one of the pre-mashup calls as an idea for ways to sort of get the audience to get involved. I think it was more as a suggestion, and I don't think it was ever agreed that we would carry that on and run a full competition. So in some ways, I think it was just a suggestion, and if Hubs wanted to follow up on that, they were free to follow up on it. I don't know, maybe in Stockholm you will want to go back and award one of your members or audience members with their best quote, just to follow up on the competitive side of things.
Yeah, I think it's a learning that we need to make sure that we really say these are the 3 or 4 things we do, and try to summarize it before the event. So thanks for bringing that up, Olena. So Carolina and Ralph, both of you did not organize mashups, but maybe you could still have an idea for a topic or a suggestion for how to make this more global. And we have 5 minutes left on the call, so let's make sure we use them wisely.
Okay, no pressure. Actually, I love the topics of the migration issue, but of course you had it already, but I think there are lots of topics we can kind of twist around or like do a bit different, because that's like, I think, a pretty, at least European topic or global topic as well. Future of Work, we had an event like some weeks ago, and it turned out to be there came a lot of people interested in collaboration. Future of Work, I think that's like the main topic of all the hubs. So I think that's interesting as well. And I like the idea of Vistal, which means that you have like speakers you see on the screen, and like you have different, like you can kind of interact with them, or at least like see them or share their content in a global level. So I think that's kind of nice. So every hub can provide like 2 speakers or 3 speakers or whatever, and then have like one or 2 really like outstanding ones who have like the chance to spread their word out to a global level. I think that's really nice, and it's interesting for them as well. Yeah.
Thanks. Ralph, anything to add?
Well, I think because we have actually here in Hub, we've done a lot of events, and we really wanted to do the mashup just because it was clashing with another event. We couldn't do it this time because of the whole commitment. But I think along, like I'd spoken with Steph previously, I think having a global theme, global topic or a theme is something good, because it's another nice hook when it comes to attracting different people who come participate in your event. Because once, especially here in KL, people are very much interested in coming for events that are globally aligned. And so a lot of the times with our events, we usually, every month we look around the world what's really happening. If there's a particular topic, like last week we had the whole COP21, and we actually focused on climate change. So we had an event that was focused just on climate change crisis, and we had a video screening of these changes, everything. So I think usually with events, having that traction is, if it's going to be a global theme, it's actually easier again to actually link it with another global event that's happening, so that you already have content, and it's easier to get speakers along those lines when it's, let's say it's International Happiness Day, and we can focus on things that are along the whole happiness or social good index. And for the format, we don't have a problem with the Pecha Kucha because that's been our style of presentation probably 60% of all our events. The only problem with Pecha Kucha is when your speakers no longer follow the whole 20 by 20 and they speak too much, and so it becomes disruptive, and then it kills the whole Pecha Kucha feel. But I think it's a very amazing way of presentation. It takes away the whole, it's very different, and our community loves that, but they need to be aware of how you can enforce that the speakers stick to. So what we have done is every time when we have speakers, we already automate those slides into one slide. So those slides will automatically change so you have to make sure you finish. And we have our slide that says, okay, time's up and you have to stop talking. And that's the whole thing. But I think for the next mashup, I like the topic that was raised, like tech for good, or we could find something that if we're going to have it in February, I think there's a lot of other international events, and we can look at how maybe we can use a theme along that, and then it's easier for us to engage our communities as well to actually take part in our event.
Cool. Very good input. Yeah, I think I agree. Mashup, it has to be done consequently or not. In the middle doesn't work. Thank you for the input. Madalena.
Yes, quick. I like the event. I like the format, and we stick with the format Pecha. I cannot pronounce this word. We were in time, partly because I was a time bitch and I was very strict with the speakers. But the feedback from me and from the members here is that, okay, it's nice to wave to people from other hubs, but it's not giving me the global feeling. I would love to interact with them or to hear them. So I liked what Vishal said, to have at least one speaker, I don't know, to be streamed live and to hear what is actually happening. And for us it was funny because we are at some point very serious, giving feedback and on business. It was on entrepreneurial ideas, and we are seeing other hubs with people with beers, and there's like, oh, we don't have beer. We are working now. And yeah. We had wine in the end, but yeah. I would love to use the power of this network to be able to share information from one hub to another, because we have great speakers in the network, and it would be a pity to just I don't know, have them and not listening to them.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, some very valuable input.
Sorry, it was not very clear for me in the day of the event what we agreed. We're gonna have Zoom channel, we're gonna do the Twitter board or not. I don't have a problem with technology. It was easy for me, but it was not clear in the end. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll pick that up. Yeah, so thanks. That's awesome feedback that we'll take on, and I think it has a lot of potential to improve. I think expectation setting was very important, right? This was the first time we tried it, so let's see, right? We learn from it, and next time will be better. And I think that's what we try to communicate here in Zurich, and I think yeah, that's something we can take forward next time. So thank you very much for the call. Some very, very helpful points. We'll pick it up. Steph and I will stay on the call, two of us, for a couple of minutes now to do the debrief, and you'll hear a follow-up with us then, and we'll make sure to react to your wishes and requests as well. Until then, I would say thank you very much, and I wish you very nice sprint of the end of the year, but then, of course, holidays and time off with your family and loved one. Bye, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Holiday.
See you around.
Bye. Bye.
Sorry, can I crash your party for 1 minute?
Sure.
Just had this idea, but we ran out of time, because Olena mentioned acumen. and because you mentioned Itai and Flora, are there any partnership opportunities around these events? Because if we do mashup, I'm thinking if WWF has a topic in mind, or Acumen has a topic, or if HP wants something on the future of work, then, you know, in terms of ROI, there could be something bigger in it for the hubs. Because it is actually a really cool format. Sure, we're experimenting, but I think that will make it easier for people to also jump on board. So yeah, that just came up, and I wanted to share it before I leave.
Really cool idea, Vij. Thanks. We'll pick that up.
If they don't take all the hubs, they might want 3 hubs on board or something, so we can try.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Cool idea. Thank you, man.
Thanks for the call, guys.
Thanks, Vij.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. So,
all right.
yeah, that was awesome. That was a really helpful call.
It was a really lovely call. I never know what happens, but always when I start up with an apology or something negative, people start to get really positive to compensate.
Yeah. And it's also, I think sometimes, you know, we're all guilty of sort of not giving ourselves enough credit, or always feeling that you could do more and therefore you haven't done enough. But from the other side of things, people weren't expecting us to actually hold their hand so much, and we're just appreciative of whatever content and instruction we could give. Though clearly it could be improved. That's also a good point. But it's not as from the call with Matthias on Tuesday, I thought, oh my God, maybe the poor co-pilots feel like they were completely dumped in it and got involved with something and just got left out in the cold. But I don't think that's the perception at all, actually.
No.
Some super good feedback there.
So probably what would be good is if we put it in a Google Doc, and then we would do sort of like have a summary. So for 3 or 4 sentences, sort of what the essence was, and then sort of like the feedback points that I saw you typing along. Yeah. So general feedback points, and then feedback to mashup, and then we share it in the chat. So if people want to add some things, they should just add them. There, so that's very transparent where they stand, and we use that, and we send it to Matthias to make sure that he reads it before our call. This Friday. So probably if you could just write the summary, the 3 lines, sort of what the essence was. That, in my words, the essence was that they like the general approach and availability of project support. The documents were too detailed, were too detailed and not user friendly. So I think that sort of was the essence for me, something around that.
Yeah, that's sure. I'll do that. Yeah, no problem.
So that's cool. And then, with regards to the mashup, I think the partnership idea is really cool. I think this would solve quite a lot of problems, like financially. But I'm afraid that for the next one, we will not be able to do this yet. But I'll make a note for myself to speak to Peter, our global partnership manager.
Super.
He wants to sell this in a way, and if we could just get every hub like €500 or so to do this, I mean, it would make life so much easier.
Big time. Okay, cool.
But I think
Mashup has got huge potential. I think it was a great start, and I think people are interested, and I think more will be on board next time. So I think we really, really need to leverage this, because I think it's an awesome idea. I think if this falls by the wayside, it will be a real shame. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's something that we we have to get some more resources.
That's the thing. After January, when this pilot structure falls away and it turns into something else, it's gonna. I don't know, somebody or there has to be some central coordinator for Mashup, because it is an event and it does require one person to coordinate and to say what the format is, to say what the idea is, and to just be a sort of a source of info. Because especially with an event that runs on a specific date, I think it's hard for that to be just coordinated by everyone. That's
no, absolutely. You need somebody centrally, and then that's something we have to pick up with Hinak for sure. Right. Cool.
Yep. Super. I'll do that, and I'll get that out to you guys in an hour or two. You can work on that straight away now.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. And then we'll talk in a call at 4:30.
Yes. Perfect. Okay. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Seth.
have a good rest of the day. See you soon.
Bye. You too. Bye.